What's up, everybody? Welcome to Midjourney Fast Hours podcast. We're back. We're back with another legend. This time, we've got Julie joining us. We've got Rory here, of course, and myself. And we're excited because we've got an awesome conversation lined up. And we're really, really excited to have Julie here because Julie, I don't know if you know this, but like you feel like one of those like Twitter OGs with AI image generation, like just seen your stuff for a long, long time. You've been playing with the tools for a long, long time, just like us. And I think we're gonna probably have a lot of fun going through kind of like what we've learned with that process along the way, and then also some of the fun stuff that's coming. So having said that, why don't you give everybody an introduction of yourself and just kind of tell everybody what you've been up to specifically with AI.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Hi, I'm Julie. I am an art director, graphic designer, turned somewhat visual artist with AI. Not thanks to AI, but with AI, I would say. Yeah, dabbling in all kinds of AI tools at the moment. Started with images, turned AI videos, and having a ton of fun with it. Everything kind of changed in the past year, 2 years since starting it, and taking it one day at a time, honestly.
What do you think has changed the most for you, like just from like a professional standpoint? Because Rory and I, like our lives have changed a lot because of this stuff. I would imagine it's the same for you. It sounds like it. Like, what was that experience like, and what actually happened? You know, when this tech really started becoming usable and had more utility in the business world.
Well, I mean, was mainly graphic designer. And it always was like very much like, okay, well, here's stock images. That's what you got. Like, that's what it is. I mean, you could go out and take your photos and take your films and do whatever. But I mean, that's time consuming. People, brands, clients, they don't want to spend money. It's all very fast and as quick as possible. And then with DALL-E 2 in August 22.
Yeah.
Was it 22?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, okay, well, let's see what it can do. And then I was like, oh, well, cool, a dock in space. That's exciting. We've never seen that. That would have taken me a long time to Photoshop it, right? Like, I was like, well, wait, I mean, this is pretty cool. If it can do stuff we can imagine, like, it can do stuff we actually know. And from there on, I was just like, completely hooked. I was like, okay, well, this is awesome, because just creating mood boards for clients takes ages. Like it literally takes a good 3 to 4 days, if not longer, to browse Pinterest, to browse Google, to browse wherever, and to really crunch that time down to maybe half a day was super exciting for me personally. I was like, okay, well, this is awesome. This can save me a ton of time in my job. But then from there, I was like, okay, now I'm hooked. And then the tools got better and better. And I was like, okay, well, this is very cinematic. I love it. I wish I could go out and take photos in that style. And I used to when I was 15, 16, 17, because I had the time. And I don't know, just like, yeah, mainly the time. It all comes down to time, I would say. And I was like, well, this is amazing. I would love to share that with whoever. And honestly, there was a lot of hate on Instagram, on TikTok. So I was kind of like, well, let's see Twitter. I wasn't very active there. And it worked out. I mean, there was a huge community building up. And that was
Can we just hit on that real quick? I just want to hit on a few things you just said. Number one of the initial reasons that I got into it too was mood boards, because that was miserable. That whole experience. And then even the post-produce, I don't think a lot of people talk about. I'm a former designer. I'm probably not even at your level. I self-taught forced into it early on, but
forced is always good.
Yeah, I was forced into it because we didn't have a designer in our company, and they were like, "Oh, you're creative, do it." Okay, but there was like even the post-processing in mood boards to like get it to even look aesthetically, sort of symmetrical in the same way. But the comment about the hate on Instagram, TikTok, and then Twitter being normal. Like that, I think it's like this. I tell everyone this. They think it's the weirdest thing where I'm like, Twitter's like the nicest place that I post content. I don't know what it is. I get zero hate on Twitter. Everyone seems like this is awesome. Let's keep pushing this. Let's collaborate. How is that like? Did you find Twitter to be the most sort of the best avenue for the AI stuff and like what you were doing and trying to like get the message across?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
The community there was quickly formed and also very supporting from day one. I mean, obviously there are also some haters and that's totally fine, but not to the extent that it was on Instagram and TikTok. For that matter.
I was going to say, like, I think before I started posting more regularly on Twitter, same with you, Rory, right? Like, we were both more spectators. Like, we were on the platform, we just weren't posting. And it was similar in the sense that with LinkedIn, that was where we posted a lot of our content early on too. It's just like, there wasn't as much hate as I thought there might be, but you could tie that back to the fact that people's professional roles are tied back there. The company that they work for are tied back there. So maybe that's the reason why. I think it is fascinating, right? Like that community on X was, there wasn't a lot of hate. Where sometimes when you get into other spaces like sports or, it gets ugly quick. So
definitely not politics though. There's no hate when it comes to politics on Twitter. But what's interesting about with that, I feel like Twitter has like a little counterculture vibe to it, and maybe AI is a little bit.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it, bro.
Feels like we were, as former designers, photographers, whatever, it did feel a little bit like, ooh, am I cheating? Like when it started, I'm not cheating, but also people weren't thinking about it the wrong way. I'm sure, Julie, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I'm sure you saw it in the same fashion. Like when you're working in Photoshop, you're doing this stuff with layers, right? And it's never like, here's one image and like, that's it. Like, let me just like change some of the lighting settings or like the saturation. You're doing a lot of things. And then it was like, once you realized you could generate each one of those ingredients and then put them together. It's like, that's when I saw like the light in the people that were hating on me on LinkedIn, mostly graphic designers at the time. And I was like, you can do this yourself. It's not a one-stop solution. You can go and be a graphic designer with the ingredients, So it's interesting but like early on Twitter, was there like any hate from a specific community, or was it mostly just like people who didn't understand what was going on?
Oh, it's a specific community. and it's mostly like deviant art kind of people who draw Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like, and I thought it was like, well, that's hypocritical, isn't it? I mean, you give me the hate for being like, or using, like, it's just copy paste, they say. And I'm like, you're drawing Sonic the Hedgehog. And
the same thing.
I mean, I guess technically I didn't draw it and it didn't take me as much time. But then again, I am not the one posting Spider-Man and I don't know, whoever. Like, I usually don't post content that is like obviously copy paste of something. So I was like, where does it even come from? Like,
it was so misunderstood right away, right? Like, because to your point, even those people, you could take that all the way down to like an elementary level of tracing something.
Yeah, I mean, how do you learn how to draw something? Like, you draw it off.
So you're tracing it, right? Like, is that cheating now? Like, it is going into Illustrator and straightening edges or curving edges exactly the way, is that cheating, right? Like, so it to me, it just kind of came across as like, you're just uninformed. And do I want to spend the mental energy trying to inform you or not? Because I think sometimes I do, sometimes I really don't. So
I should have done better at that, because I was more along the lines of like the eternal optimist. I'm like, do you guys see how insane this is? Like, this is crazy. Like, even removing backgrounds, like that kind of stuff in Photoshop. When I was like, when someone had like hair flowing in the wind and they were like, oh, we need the background cropped out, I'm like, please God, kill me. Like that is it's going to take me 2 days to go through every little point and whatever. Now it's like, no one complains that you can auto remove a background. It's like, that's AI. So I just didn't understand why people were so frustrated with the fact that it could just generate things. I'm like, you can generate textures too. You can generate gradients. Instead of looking for that on stock sites, But you guys probably, Drew, you might have handled that a little bit better than me. I was kind of just like, I was kind of like the person that was like, come on, like, why not? Like, why
No,
wouldn't you
I think
use it?
I was doing that part of the time too, and
Yeah.
then it just like people would get to asking questions where it's like, like, is this the best use of my time trying to educate somebody that maybe isn't open-minded in the first place? Like, what am I doing here? I don't need to be, quote unquote, the, educator or, like I'm not responsible for everybody else's learning. You know what I mean? So
It's kind of like just like the internet. Like older people are just like, oh, the internet, that's going away. And I see it the same way with AI now. Like it's going to be integrated everywhere. And then people will just not understand because they were just too stubborn or too afraid. I don't know, like whatever the reason to get into it. And then at some point they're just like, well, shit, now it's too late. Or it's not, but now you have to make up 5 years, which you could have had from the beginning. And that's kind of where I'm like, well, I don't want to educate people anymore in that sort of way because we're all adults. So
Rory brings this up too, which is a great point. It's the fact that like when you jump in early, each incremental improvement or change becomes easier and more palatable to execute on versus starting, now on something like Midjourney to me would be like, oh man, like, because, Midjourney specifically, I would say isn't really built for a beginner in mind. And I don't mind that at all, actually. Like, I love the fact that you have to specifically prompt for something cinematic or lighting or shadows or use something like a style reference. It's not all baked in where you can just click something and all of a sudden you've got that applied, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's a little bit more of like that expert tool in my perspective. But to be able to start from scratch now and catch up, oh man, that would just feel so daunting, at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, 100%, yeah. It's like opening Photoshop for the first time.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how I know you're a designer.
Where do I start?
That's
stuff
how you know.
Everywhere, and you don't know. I mean, I don't even know what it all is, and I've been using it, 20 years now.
It's crazy. Photoshop is nuts when you think about it, and it's like you could do the same thing. You could do 75 different methods with Photoshop to get there.
But that's also the beauty of it, right? Like, there's never just one way, and I feel like that's the same in Midjourney. Like now, there's lots of ways to get to your end goal, but then again, like it's still not just a click of a button, just as it isn't in Photoshop, right? Like.
Do you have like a I don't want to say like a event horizon, like when you something like Midjourney or Dall E, and maybe it's the dog in space, but like an image in mind of when it like all was like this is it. This is that I'm totally hooked. I can't go back now. Like I've fully jumped off the cliff. Do you have any of those? I think I remember mine, but I'm just curious if you had that same sort of situation.
Yeah, I mean in Dall E 2, it was when I had like a series of like it was very melancholic and an old man opening letters, and it was very much like probably his wife died, and I was just like, damn, I can feel that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were always like, oh, AI has no soul. And I'm like, but why do I feel those images? Like, I can feel something. Yeah. Now looking back, it doesn't look great. It was Dall E 2, but after all, but
at the time,
that was
impressive.
The first time I was like, this is cool. And I have to stay on top of that. And then in Midjourney, I think it was my grocery store images that I still have like on Twitter that are pinned. And I probably should take something else to be pinned there, but I don't know. I really love it. Like the lighting is perfect, and it just is like very
green tones.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely there's definitely that. I think if anyone likes these tools, you have that moment where you get that one, and you're just like, what the hell? You know, like that shouldn't be possible, and then it's the next 6 hours you're on it trying to recreate. Like that's is this version 4 or 5.2? If you remember, like what?
I think it was
feels
3.
Feels like 5. Really?
3.
No.
Wow.
Really?
Wait, I have to check myself actually because I think it's V4.
Oh wow.
V4. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the to me that was the moment was like V4 was like, oh cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that came out
But
in November 22, I think. So yeah.
Yeah.
But if you could do cinematic stuff in V4, that was an eye opener. I mean, I don't think I
was.
even tried cinematic stuff in V4. I think it was V5 that I first started trying. V4, like I think V4, I think I got involved in V4 somewhere in November. But it was more or less like there was no strategy. It was just trying to see what it could create, how many iterations it would take to get something that I liked, what kind of things it could do and do well. And it was still like that infancy moment where you're just like, holy shit, this exists now. Like I can now create like images that I never thought I could create from my desk. Like that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
V4 has a special place in my heart.
Oh, 100%. The
still love
lighting
it.
there was so good, so harsh. I really loved that. Like,
On his face, right there on that left side too.
Yeah, let me go
Excellent.
back.
Even the shadow play there on the other grocery store, like this one, it even has a little bit of like a
At the rim lighting up there.
Yeah, the rim lighting, and you have the front lighting too with the super harsh on the left side of the face, like the leading lines that are going, on the shelves, like right to him. It's just like that green and yellow sort of like muted color. I love. This is why I loved V4 because there was a lot of light play and a lot of line play from a composition standpoint.
Yeah.
Same thing here with the shadows. Like even the shadow of the that was something. Even if it's not perfect, when you look at that detail of like the shadow of the grates from the shopping cart, like that's so impressive.
You could see where it was going. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, to me, it was like little things like that where I'm like, damn, okay. Because that's not, if you try to edit that in, try to like Photoshop that in, good luck. Take a
but
look.
then again, this was like when Midjourney still had 1x1s.
Yeah.
So I did actually take those 1x1s to DALL-E 2 and did the outpainting basically.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, there was no 16:9.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever tried to
it was
retexture?
Still, like, a crap lot of work for just posting it on Twitter. But yeah, I mean.
Have you
Wow.
tried to retexture any V4 images with like V6.1 or anything like that?
I sometimes try to reuse the prompts, but it really did change in terms of how much words you need. Because back then it was very much like, okay, high definition, 4K, all of that. Like,
Yeah, throw it in there.
yeah, like throw
That was
it
half
all
the
in
prompt.
there. Yeah.
Ultra realistic, please. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to
Begging
throw
you,
it in.
please.
Is that so?
But yeah.
From your background, you said you were also into photography. Was that something that you were like heavily into, like amateurish, like just something you did for fun? Like was that like a heavy influence on a lot of the things you were doing early on, or was it more so just like fun?
Photography has. When I was 15, I think it was the reason why I got into Photoshop, and from there, kind of also how I got into graphic design. Because I always told myself, okay, I love photography so much, I actually don't want to have it as a job, because I don't want to lose that joy of being like or taking photos.
She gets it.
100%.
But then, yeah, I mean, at some point you then work as a graphic designer, and then you become a freelancer, and there's no time, and then you're just kind of like, okay, well, I could either make money while working or have fun taking photos, and obviously money wins, sadly. So yeah, I haven't taken it seriously as a hobby in forever.
Have you wanted to pick it back up because of the tools?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially film photography. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, that grain and all of that kind of nostalgic feeling to it, which you can create with AI. And that's what fascinates me time and time again, because I rarely do like futuristic stuff. I always go back. Like it's always very melancholic, very nostalgic. I don't know.
You could
That's
tell.
very me specific.
You could
but
tell,
yeah.
Julie. I mean, you have a specific style. You do it well, and you could tell. You know how to curate. You know how to pick the right images.
Oh, it always comes
Which
down
is
to curation.
which that's where we're at too, right? Because now I'm just thinking about mood boards, personalization. Rory, I don't know about you, but like lately with mood boards and some of this, like my prompts are getting smaller. I'm not thinking as hard about them because now that mental energy just goes into could I use a style reference for this? Is there a style code? Do I want to retexture this? Is this, like a mood board I built and based, I want to see what this prompt does for 5 or 6 different mood boards and how that interprets it. Like, it's just a different place now. And you got to think that prompting is going to get easier and easier, which I think Midjourney has really proved. So with that in mind, curation and picking the right things, and we talked about this a lot too. It's like you create 50 images. How do you pick the best 2? What are you looking for there? And I think, Julie, one of the things that you do well, especially because it's cinematic and photorealism, is you're intentionally picking out things that have emotion in the photo that can be felt. It's the facial expressions. It's the lighting and the shadows, right? It's the maybe even just the mouth, right? Is somebody smiling, or do they have like a frown? Are they screaming? Like, all those things I think are opportunities that a lot of people that aren't designers, aren't photographers, still could really polish up to make their images stand out. We talk about that a lot, because if you don't prompt for those things, you're just getting that candid look. You're just getting the symmetry, which me and Rory just blast all the time. But like, you're getting that thing that just looks like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
It's model face is what I like to call it.
Model
where
face.
It's just, everything is just, it's just a blank face because you're not supposed to be focused on it, right? It's supposed to be focused on the clothes. But I did, when I was scrolling through a lot of your stuff, I was like, oh, there's a very similar sort of look to what I appreciate. I do like a higher contrast of dark and lighter tones. I do like, more of a complex composition, something like this, where we have stuff in the foreground, midground, background, like a lot of detail, a lot of sort of like cracked textures, or more so, not just like totally smooth and polished. Like this one is right up my
Look at
my
that.
alley. That's
Okay,
a
well,
four
that's
guy.
not from it. That's an actual.
Oh, is it? Because I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
Yo.
that
But
is.
then again, I mean, I'm constantly inspired by, obviously, right? Like I love these type of trailers and very indie alternative movies.
Yep.
Is
that
that your?
just-
Is that main source of inspiration? Are you a film fan?
I mean, there was a time when I had more time on my hands to actually watch movies, but yeah, I would say so. Especially, thinking back like a good 10, 15 years ago. There were some really good movies. Now it's all very polished, but I love the more non-polished movies as well.
We were just talking about that before you got on, because Rory dropped a 60 sec. What is it? 60 seconds.
Gone in 60 seconds.
Gone in 60 seconds with Nicolas Cage. And it's like one of those good bad movies that exists. And it's like they don't make the movies anymore. And I remember there actually being an interview. I think it was like Matt Damon. I think it was when he was on Hot Ones, and he was like, "Do you know why they don't make those movies anymore? It's because DVD sales no longer matter." And that was like a whole other back sort of like revenue stream that a lot of these, actors and actresses and, they could rely on that income. Now it's dried up. And now they've almost gone to just the things that are proven, right? Yeah. All the sequels to movies that we've seen like 20 years ago. It's just like all that stuff. So that's interesting. But I do have the appreciation for stuff that is different, that is unique.
That's why I love B movies. I am a self-proclaimed, maybe, B movie fan, because I just love that real gritty amateur aesthetic. Like I find it to be awesome in Midjourney that you can sort of create that look where it's unpolished. It doesn't look like it's totally Hollywood. It's kind of like messy. Like the actors are not, they look like real people, like not like Hollywood actors. And it's to me, like, I just love stuff like that. Like, I used to be a big fan of like, what was that? Not IFC. There was a TV channel back in the day that had like all these random movies on.
I think it was IFC, wasn't it?
Was it? There, like, I'd never heard of any of them. Half the time, it was like the lines and the dialogue was so basic and like hilarious that I just laugh. Like, this is so cheesy, and I love it because, as you can tell by some of my Minimax stuff, Drew, that I do, that aesthetic is it works so well with Minimax. That like vintage or
I know. I think
80s,
Minimax
90s.
is the best at it. Yeah.
It currently really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good question for you, Julie. Give us your pulse check on like some of the video tools that are out there, some of the other photo tools that are out there? Like, what are you really liking? Obviously, I think like across the board, there's going to be some consolidation at some point. There's just so many tools out there. And even just thinking about the video process now, you know, to go through that, you have to use like 5 or 6 tools to get to an end product, right? It's like, I'm going to use, you know, an LLM for helping with the ideation or the name or maybe even part of the script. I'm going to use a photo tool like a Midjourney. Then I'm going to take that into the video tool. Maybe I try multiple video tools, clip those things together using a tool like CapCut, right? Like it's just sort of a little bit of a laborious, you know, and sometimes painful process. But like, what are your observations, I guess, across those mediums? What are you really liking at the moment, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, there's different tools for different occasions, I always feel like. So Midjourney, in terms of like image tools, Midjourney always has like a style for everything, especially now with style references there. If you do somewhat of a curation and you save some from the people posting them on Twitter, you can really have like a book with all the styles you could possibly need at some point. Maybe there's already like too much where you're just like, do I need that many? Probably not. So yeah, for images, cinematic stuff, for personal and more like trailer work, definitely Midjourney. And then it depends. If it's more photographic, I tend to go to Halo and Runway, Gen 3. If it's more like illustration stuff, I tend to go with Luma.
Interesting.
And yeah, like more like 3D or special effect stuff. That's more like Pika.
You like Luma for illustration? That's an interesting one. That's the first time I've heard that sort of.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I did like one video that was a bit more like illustrative stuff, and it worked super well with Luma. Whereas everything else is like Runway sometimes did morph the style, which was kind of annoying.
Yes.
But and Halo, it works, but it's not as good as Luma. So yeah, I tend to really pick my tools by the style it has.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of images, I also use Let's AI a ton because I can really fine tune my the characters or objects, which is heavenly. And in Midjourney, character consistency is okay-ish, but not perfect. And that's when Letz really does come in and gives you the consistency you really need. I think for images, that's probably the two I use the most. And now there's frames.
Will you tell us more about Letz? Because I know you've been involved there. I think I've just been there maybe once or twice. I haven't played with it.
Yeah,
like what are the, tell us a little bit more about what you find it to be very, very strong with.
Well, it's super strong with everything you need for consistency, honestly. It also has a good cinematic style, and you can create your own styles. So if you really, there wasn't always like style reference or the mood board stuff in Midjourney. And if you really wanted to stay close to that style, then Let's say I was perfect to get that consistency. And yeah, I work with Neon Internet, it's there somewhere, and they created Let's AI. And it's kind of funny because it came from a place of, well, we're from Luxembourg. I'm from Luxembourg, the boys are from Luxembourg. And when you try to prompt or get a prompt output in Midjourney that has to resemble somewhat of Luxembourg, it can't do it. Like there's no way you can get Luxembourgish food or the city itself. Like there's no stuff from it. And so they were like, okay, well, let's take it up for us to really have our own kind of style in there, to see our products, our food, our locations. And yeah, that's kind of how it was born, but it obviously had greater strength and in terms of being or having your models trained in style, objects, characters.
Rory, you tried Letz at all?
I've tried it for products, which it works fairly well at. I haven't really tried it for characters. I've done it for products since I was doing for marketing materials, things like that. But
Yeah.
here's a random question because I haven't used it in a while. Can you apply character and style in the same image? Is that from a trained model perspective?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that's why, Midjourney, they've been, if there was ever a question that got asked more times than is Midjourney going to ever fix consistent characters? I mean, that might be number one, but this was the first sort of model training platform that I was like, this is easy, not hard, not easy, but like somewhat manageable without having to go, do everything locally or be like super tech efficient or go on like Civet AI and do this kind of stuff. So this was the first one I think that made it fairly easy to do that, or palatable for the non like tech person.
Yeah,
but
that's perfect because don't get me started on running all of that locally. Like I don't want to engineer it. I just want to use it. Like give me the best possible outputs, and I mean that's fine. I can upload 5 images somewhere, but don't let me do all of that stuff on my own. Like I don't have the brain capacity to do that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You become an engineer as well as a designer.
That's not what I want to be at all.
Are you guys familiar with this Visual Electric?
Yes, I've worked with some people who use this a lot.
No. Wait.
So this is what I think of too when I think of Letz. Like I don't know Letz very well, but like this also is sort of like a very easy to learn, I think high quality. I mean, I don't have a paid plan or anything, but there's good images created on here. I've set up a free plan where I've generated image before. It's pretty good.
Looks good. I've never heard of them. Are they fairly new-ish or?
I don't think they're that new. Like they've been around for a while, but somehow like it's just no one really talks about them. But they've got like really good. The UI is great, right?
Reminds me of Recraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one that's been interesting, which I think Midjourney, if they had put more thought into, I don't know. Have you tried Patchwork on Midjourney, Julie, or no? The world building tool.
No.
Yeah, very weird. It was. I think it was a very odd launch for them. They didn't do it.
World building feels like a big old reach.
Yeah, that a big reach. Yeah.
Yeah.
But LTX has done some just like from a UX experience. Have you ever used that tool?
I don't think so. No.
All right, it's interesting because it's like if there was ever like the I don't want to say the dumbest down version, but the most watered down version to create a story, like storyboard. Like it's basically a storyboarding tool, but essentially like you create the character first, and then like it becomes a preset.
What did you say, Rory?
Scene.
LTX?
LTX, yeah.
Okay.
And then like it's like, add character 1 into this image, add character 2 into this image, without having to like do all the text prompting and things like that, or even the model training. It's just like, here, create character 1, create character 2, then put it in the scene. Same thing with like the setting and the aesthetic. It becomes very like, if you're using this stuff for previs and not like trying to go and do, cinematic work that's going to be at like a film festival, if you just want to make a storyboard for like a client, just like here's a visualization of what it could look like, I don't see why this wouldn't be a tool that you could use easily. I just found that they've made it simpler in the fact that we'd probably go and self-flog ourselves for 3 hours to get the right images on all the different platforms because we like that. But
kind of like that. Yeah.
Kind of like it. So let's go back to Letz. I'm curious. Is this like a big part of your mix, or just something that you're doing for mostly characters or like specific styles that you're trying to fine tune?
I mostly use it for all the client stuff that I work on.
Okay.
Because it is really, like, it saves me so much time when working on that kind of stuff. Because it is very specific, right? Like in Midjourney, there is still a lot of guessing or like the surprise effect off, which I love for my personal work. But when working for clients and brands, you can't always rely on Midjourney. Maybe aesthetically, but not in terms of how your prompt always is formed. And that's where Let's AI really is my main go-to.
I have a question for you because we just touched on this. What was it? 2 episodes ago, Rory, where we were talking about like, hey, a client's given us, a project or brief.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something we've never prompted for before, how do you, go from 0 to 1 and then ultimately like execute on it? Julie, for you, you've got this brief. Maybe it's something you never created before. How do you go about doing that?
I think I've tested a lot. Usually I can sort of make it work, but also if they approach me, it usually goes into a direction that I've already have been working on. So that's maybe where I'm kind of lucky. But I would say like it totally depends. Like I always make very, very clear to clients and brands that just because it's AI, not everything is possible. Some very specific stuff still is hard to achieve. And if it's easier to get that stuff while you go out and photograph it and you have like, I don't know, it just takes you 2 hours to get that shot. Like, why would I try to get a location to work in AI if you could just go there and photograph it? Like, right, I try to make really like expectation management from the beginning. But what I still use quite frequently is the describe function in Discord with Midjourney.
Like, really?
Usually if they do have like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking of, I still use describe because then it gives me a hint of, hey, that's the direction. Maybe try this. I mean, you could just use as much ChatGPT probably, but I think the describe function in Midjourney is so underrated. I absolutely love it. Now with
Discord?
the mood board,
Did you say Discord for that? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Discord.
You're not using the website Describe?
can you? I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll
It's
bring
not the same. It's different. It's different. It's not.
How
It
does
is
it
different.
work? I haven't
it's different.
tested it at all.
So you could just go here, drop something in, click anything you want, right? So let's just let me find like a cinematic, like maybe like this, right? So you can just click this button right here.
It's an
Wow.
eye.
Yeah, it's
Very
kind of,
small.
it's not very obvious, but this is
Damn,
the new.
I've never seen that before.
This is like the new one, right? So like instead of the 4 options, and then if you don't like the 4 options, you can re-roll it. They basically just give you these clickable token phrases, right? Where it's just like, okay, I like that and that and that, right? And so it just adds it right in.
Okay. That's
but
cool too.
I think where you're going with that is also you might not know or you don't want to spend the mental energy trying to translate how you might prompt for every single thing from scratch.
Yeah.
It's the idea that like, oh, okay, like Midjourney likes this language when it looks at this imagery. I'm going to get there faster if I go ahead and inject something like this versus trying to come up with exactly what I'm seeing in my head.
Yeah.
And hoping Midjourney interprets it the same way.
Yeah, especially for styles that aren't as common. Like photographic styles, it's pretty easy. Like I have my prompt structure that I use pretty much all the time. That works. But yeah, if it's like a specific style, then it's obviously a bit harder to get there right away. And that's why I use Describe, but apparently there's an easier way now. Damn,
Well,
that's
they
pretty
hit
fascinating.
it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, but why? I mean, I don't really get why they would. I mean, probably nobody uses it, or less people use it.
I used to love Describe for
Yeah.
just like even on the, just let me take this and some random image. Like how would Midjourney describe this? Like they also have it now in the editor in a different way, where if you go into editor and then like you hit suggest prompt, it'll just
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
like that one.
That has been good. That has
I
been
think that one's
good.
better. Yeah, than what you get. But I've found that one actually gives me some really interesting takes on stuff too, where I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
that's cool. The other thing they did with the describe function was they used to add, I don't know if they do it anymore, was they used to, when they had an artist's name in there that was tagged, like in the style of whoever, they used to link out to that artist's page or that artist's Wikipedia or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do that, but I thought that was like when they were trying to like sort of, you guys don't hate us so much.
Now it's
kind
legal.
of thing. Yeah, I guess. But do you still use Discord?
No, just for the
Okay.
describe function, which I apparently
Okay.
don't have to.
I'm struggling just to remember how to use this right now in here. Let me see. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, also
I
the double
could just-
clicking for like using either a link or an image annoys the crap out of me. So I'm actually happy if I don't have to do it anymore.
Does it still work? Does it still look the same?
For those of you that are listening that haven't used this was like, man, I remember when they dropped that. And remember the shorten part of it, and then you also had the, like, if you dove even further into shorten, it would tell you like the weight of individual words and tokens. That was pretty cool.
Which was BS, by the way. I used to run it multiple times to see if it would say the same prompt, and it would come up different every time. And I was like, okay, so this doesn't work. But, that was...
Weights were something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never really got to where I wanted with weights and everything. But
shorten never seemed to work for me. It always was like, well, if I put all these details in the prompt, it still looks better than when I trimmed it down to like 4 tokens. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Still think I like the way I did it better. There's the only thing that I find to be so great on Discord was the custom parameter sets and like the custom option sets, and also now going back and finding all my personalization codes. Didn't even know that existed until now, where you can just do list personalization, and I was like, that's where all of them are.
Yeah.
Which, I feel like an idiot. Are you using? Here's a question, because I've gotten this a few times now. In client work, if you're ever doing things on Midjourney, are you utilizing personalization for this stuff? Are you building specific profiles for specific clients? Have you gone that deep yet, or is that something that hasn't sort of proliferated yet?
sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's
it's
interesting.
not a ton. Like there's not like 100 clients I would have done that to. Like maybe I tried it once or twice. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would.
Are you using
makes
mood
sense
boards
for
in the same way for that, or no?
Oh yeah, yeah. Usually, yeah.
I have a problem with mine. My personalization code is I've ranked images, and I think it just reads too much. It's so gritty and like
Trade a
harsh.
new one.
So I
Train a
did.
new one.
I trained a soft one, and it was just like, I know David has said on multiple times, just like, rank everything. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm only ranking images that are going to help me here. So the soft one is like very, very soft. Like I'm only doing like 3D, like super minimalist stuff. And now when I apply that, it helps with some of this stuff, because I can't. Everything else looks like it's out of like a grunge movie. Like it's super textured, super dark, super contrasty. I'm like, I can't have this on everything. But it's kind of been a new way to go about it, I think.
I think it took your survey questions, identified you as somebody that is dangerous,
Closet
and injected
psychopath.
injected that into your code. That
Likes
would be
B
my
movies.
guess. Yeah,
Give him the horror setting.
100%.
But I still don't understand how the ranking of those images, like it works pretty well for my style, but I never get images that are in my style, so I don't actually understand it.
Okay, I feel like this is the last frontier. Like we need a office hours just on this.
Yeah.
Like were either of you guys on the last one? Because I got a little bit closer to that.
Ooh.
There were a bunch of people asking questions. I asked a question. It was about personalization. It was about, first of all, like when you go through and you rank images versus just liking them from the Explore page, are those treated equally, right? Because I was wondering that, because obviously you can find images that are more associated to any of our preferences or styles that way versus ranking A or B, which most of the time they're not great images or images that we would necessarily go for. He did confirm that those are different. They're treated differently and not as heavily as the A and B ranking, which I had a feeling about, but that is confirmed. The other part is the question around, should we be skipping like a bunch and just focusing on images that we like? He seemed to like really double down on the fact that like, no, you should. Skipping doesn't tell them anything. Like meaning, it doesn't tell them, hey, we don't like these images, or hey, these images are too close and we don't want to rank one. It only is just down to those two images. And I don't know what, those things are, but it's just really just between that A and B. Is it, my guess is are they looking at like camera angles? Are they looking at like the flatness of the color and vibrancy of the color? Like I do notice some of that, and I'm thinking that it's more or less along those lines, but they've never said anything to confirm that. But if you're going to go as far into personalization, which I think is a major differentiator for Midjourney, I think they got to do a better job of educating the users on how to get the most out of it, at the same time, especially with now the fact that you can create multiple profiles, right?
Yeah.
Have they ever, though? Have they ever educated us, or have we done all that for them?
Yeah.
I think they just drop these tools and just say, like, whatever happens, happens. You guys figure it out. Like personalization, for example.
We do.
Yeah, we do. You're welcome. you're welcome, Midjourney, for that stuff. Because the personalization, I am the antithesis of what David says. I rank nothing because I go through, I'm like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Like 10 images later, maybe I'll like something. Because I'm not going to like something that looks like a stock photo of a fruit. I'm like, I don't want any of my images to look like that. I don't want that polluting what I do, because it's just then I have one that is I rank everything. Then I have one personalization code now where I rank everything, where it's like yes, no, even if I hate everything. And that stuff comes out good. Like it doesn't come out great. Like my personalization codes, I like them when I use them. They work. And then like the softer profile, for example, that I have, where I only rank soft textures and soft looking photos. That works really well when I use it now. So, I mean, I think there is you can strategize around it. I don't think they just want the data. I personally feel like that's how they're going to train their aesthetic model for 7. That's how they've been collecting it. It's like, rank all of it. Yeah, okay, now we have all the personal
exactly.
Like,
yeah, let us do it.
We'll just take the biggest data sets and sort of apply going forward. But that's, I never really, if you can't tell, I'm on my soapbox about this. But I never understood let me just select these, and I don't know how they even choose them. Like, how does some of these? I know we've done this before, where it's like, send this to rank or whatever on the image. Like you can submit this for ranking.
Oh, you
but
can?
some of the images, Drew, you want to show that one too? How to like submit your images to be ranked or submit for homepage or whatever.
Well, okay, so you might actually have to do that because I don't get that option anymore. I
Me
don't
either.
know.
It's gone.
Really?
Yeah. You
Okay.
showed me that, and now it's gone. Because, sometimes
Julie,
you get those images.
you know what we're talking about with that?
Yeah. But I never knew that you could actually
It was like
push
here.
it too.
Oh,
There it
look, I
is.
do have it now. Submit to pair rankings, 3 left. I don't know. They've never educated on that. Like, why is that for just pair rankings? And what's the value in me doing that? Or is that also to possibly get on the Explore page? I just don't know what that does. But
But I mean, I work in stealth mode at all times.
I do too.
so
I do too,
don't-
yeah.
I don't even know if it would come up anywhere.
right.
Probably not.
You guys are
I
good.
mean, I probably would have to make it public, but I don't know.
It's interesting. Well, there's Faye. It's interesting to see, because like the ranked pairs, you'd think they would go a little bit further than where they go aesthetically. Like it's never like mind blowing. Maybe that's the point. Like I'm not sitting here like, oh my god, that image of the deer is out of this world. It's like the illustration of a deer at night. Like
The
it's
last 5 times I've pulled up this pair ranking, it wants me to rank this pair really, really bad. I refuse. I'm just skipping it every time, and it's going to come up next time and want me to do the same thing.
like this one on the right. Like what? That's clip art. Like why is that supposed to be the aesthetic? Like you want the photo or you want
What is
the
it
clip
taking
art?
away from that? I
That's
just
what
feel
I
like
mean.
we could get a little bit of information. Obviously, you don't have to give away the secret sauce, but just, like, can I make a more informed decision? Because personalization is such a big thing now. I mean, it's basically what, they're betting on. It's the differentiator between all this. So now, like, are any of us prompting anything that either isn't personalization, mood board, or has a style reference on it? Like, I don't know. Like, it's been a long time for me.
Still do sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah.
I still like my text prompting. I still like to
Yeah.
just go down that
Yeah,
rabbit
me too,
hole.
me too.
All right. Well, you guys are weirdos, but
Drew drops the emoji of a skull in there and gets like something that'll go on the cover
Yeah,
of Midjourney's magazine, right? That's
I
how
mean, to be
that's how it
fair,
works.
emojis are like crazy cool. to
Underused.
use. Yeah,
Yeah.
underused.
definitely. It's fun.
Do you still run like random stuff like that, just like to see what you'll get?
Oh,
like
yeah.
random.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite. I say this on every podcast, so everyone who's listening is probably like, Rory, shut the hell up. You say it every time. There's no other tool that can take an emoji and turn it into something awesome. Like, the creative level is just not there. This is where it differentiates itself, because we've seen stuff. We've gone through stuff on here.
Or the math equations.
Math
Rory.
equation. Yeah, that one specifically.
last
yeah.
Let me see if I can find that. Like, those were... People were going nuts with those. Yeah, like this one.
Yeah, that's fun.
Just like,
You can put that. You can put that into anything else. You ain't getting anything back. Like,
No.
That. You know, we were talking about that last. It's the magic of the Midjourney stuff, which again, like, probably has more use in the personal stuff, but it's still amazing.
Yeah. The surprise effect of it is pretty cool.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
Definitely a little therapeutic. You know, you need a little Midjourney therapy session. Get in there. Let me create
Like, I
some
used
stuff.
to just scroll TikTok, Instagram endlessly. Now I'm just like, I'm in Midjourney. Like, find me there. Just dabbling
What do-
around.
What do you want to see from Midjourney? So
Great
2025, Julie specifically. What's your like ask?
I always say that, but character consistency, honestly. Like, real character consistency. That is, like, uncanny. Like, it has to be to the dot every time the same. I know a lot of people say 3D. I get it, but I don't know if I would be the target audience to use it. I saw Korea come out with something yesterday.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
It's cool.
When I saw it, I was like, well, maybe 3D is cool to have. And I get it, and it makes sense.
What about from your perspective? Like, before you finish that question, I'm curious with 3D. Do you think about it in terms of, because you've got this photographer mindset too, you've got a great image. You just wish you could pan to the left, maybe 15 degrees, you know, and get that like really super unique angle.
Yeah, I'll get a bit more like a top view or a lower angle. That would be cool to have. Not gonna lie. Like, that's really cool. I usually I'm like, okay, well, I don't have it. It's the same as if I would have taken a stock image. If it's not there in another angle, that's life. Like, can't use it, won't use it, we'll find something else. But yeah, of course, if it would be possible to curate that far, that's obviously pretty cool.
Imagine if you could, like, instead the angle too, but also then like switch lens, or like these sort of like, if you're in there and it's sort of, you know, you have maybe, let's just call it a like super direct sort of like 85 millimeter, but you want to go super wide. So it just like, it like expands the image outward that way to give you more like broader context on the sides, things like that. That'd be to me, that'd be very, very fun. Like, if you can just kind of go in there and morph and play like that. It is Photoshop then. It's just in real time, you know, with less sort of need to be super creative with the tool. But this Korea stuff, I played around with this yesterday. I had a great time. I was like, this is awesome. I could spend hours on that. Yeah. Because it's easy. I mean, like, it's not crazy hard. You have to create a good 3D object, which is, you know, number one, probably something that I was, you know, you don't have to be on when you're generating like an image with, they were just pasting images in there. I was, you know, generating inside the Korea workspace and was like, you know, give me a BMW or whatever.
Where's this one at? Because I haven't played with it yet.
Generate, and then go to on generate, go to real time. Yep. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of variables at play. You know, you got to have the text prompt, which is basically affecting the right side of the image. And then you have the left side, which is the workspace, where you can add shapes, pictures, whatnot. There's also, you can change the background to it. You know, you stay in compose. You can also do real-time video on this with screen record or camera, which I saw someone doing, which I'm probably going to do later. So this guy was just like holding stuff up and watching it generate on the other side.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I love this tool. Like, I never like take anything from it. I just play. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's more of a gamification of than actually using. Yeah.
But I do like Korea for a lot of reasons. Like, just outside of having everything in one space, which is nice. Having they have an easy training. You know,
it's not expensive
training.
either. The price is very palatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for having everything. Yeah.
Yeah, upscaler, video access to everything. Like, I tell all the beginners too. Like if people are like trying to use this for work or like want to test things, I'm like, just try Create because you have everything there. You don't have to buy 6 tools like us.
That's a good point.
Julie? Are you in any of the creator programs?
I am. Thankfully, I'm so
Yeah,
glad.
right?
Like, I never take it for granted, to be honest.
Which
Because-
ones are you in?
Runway, Halo, Pika. I think that's it. Obviously.
And Letz, okay.
But I mean, it's not directly like a creative program, but yeah.
Runway has just a really solid structure for it, where it seems like they have a plan. It seems like they like, I like Minimax. I feel like it's just kind of like whatever, like you're in it. Like maybe you'll get the info, maybe you'll get the news, maybe you won't. But Runway, they feel pretty like they have the sort of meetups. They have,
true.
they're pretty communicative.
And Luma I have too.
Luma,
Yeah.
how are they with that one?
Very good. Like they
Luma communicates.
Okay.
Yeah, they're super well organized. Like the emails, the updates, it's pretty good. Yeah, I would say Runway and Luma are the best at keeping you up to date as a creator and involving you too.
Yes. If anyone doesn't know this, by the way, if you spend a lot of time on these platforms and you generate a lot of stuff, you can look. Most of these tools have creator programs. So for anyone that's listening that doesn't know this, like you can get into something, you can apply for Runways, you can apply for Lumas, you can apply for Minimax, for Kling, for whatever. Most of the time, it's free access to the tool. That's what it is, and you just have to be good about posting and tagging them and doing that. It's not necessarily overbearing, but it's a good way to, if you have more than 50 followers on any platform, you probably have, if you have 0, I don't know if they're going to give you anything, but it's a good way to look up.
Prove yourself a little
Yeah, you have to prove yourself a little bit, or at least have some sort of value to them to give you
More than
free
just
access.
a pulse. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just a sidebar because I think these things just started popping up. There wasn't a lot of them a year ago. Maybe there was like Runway. There was a few others. I don't know if Luna had one a year ago, but Midjourney obviously
Luma
doesn't.
A year ago?
Do we want to go down that path again, Rory? Like I feel like we talk about it a lot, but it's always fun to hear like other people's interpretations. Why does Midjourney not embrace any sort of creator program, insider circle, referral program? Like there's nothing. Julie, does that surprise you in any way?
I think they just know that they don't need it, right? Like people would still rave about them. Like you don't have to be in like the inner circle to be a fan of them, and everybody pays for it, and probably everybody still will. Like I don't know. I think they just like. I think they really stick to the bootstrapped kind of feeling, and they're just like, we're doing our thing, we're fine, we're good. If you rave about it, that's cool. Thanks for being here. But also, hey, we're just a company having fun. I think David is just like, he just loves what he does, and he doesn't need other people to also love what he's doing. Like he would he would still do the same thing even if just 10 people would use it. Like he would still be at the same mindset, I'd say. So,
Julie, so what you're saying is that they know that they'll have a couple guys dedicate at least an hour or 2 a week to recording a podcast about them without any sort of kickback or any mention or any sort of like caring. So we dedicate our entire week to them.
I think it would be great. Like, for example, I would love to see them do stuff like this, to provide that extra like insight level outside of just the office hours that feels more personal to people. Yes. Like I think Julie makes a great point, right? Like it is obvious to me that David loves what he does so much that part of it, he's just going to do no matter what. Right. And then the other part, right, is that whole VC funded, not VC funded thing, which obviously affects decision making and how you're going to do some of that stuff too. But man, I would love to, like, I want somebody from Midjourney, it doesn't even have to be David, just like tell us what's going on behind the scenes there. Tell us what people are like working there. Tell us what some of the conversations are like.
But I could see it happening like at some point, just having a meetup with like the biggest creators or the people who have the most generations done. Like, I don't know, 50 to 100 people just invited to San Francisco. And that's it. That's going to happen once and never again.
That'd be dope.
And then you have your creative program.
Yeah.
A once in a lifetime thing. And then that's it.
They could totally do Midjourney Con or something like that. You'd have everyone people would just go to have fun. You don't even have to, like, David doesn't even have to be like, I feel like he's a little bit like, just from my perspective, I don't want to say hermitish, but like probably doesn't need to be in the public eye, doesn't need like a lot of fanfare or attention, doesn't need to do big launches, like, and that's cool, and I like that. He does, like, there is a community around this though. Like, this is probably one of the only ones that has like a very distinct feel where there's like diehards and like this is it. And people that just use it for fun. They don't even have to do it for business or anything else. Just like, I'll generate on it every day. So, there is opportunities. If you can hear Faye, she's very upset with
you didn't invite her on. You didn't invite her on today.
She's having a very rough day, but it is what it is. But I think it's like if someone said that there was going to be a Midjourney meetup, anything in your city, I'd probably go. I mean, I'm not one of those people.
I would go.
I
would probably pay for the plane ticket to go wherever it's at.
Yeah, I mean,
just because it's been such a big part of the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, God, man. I mean, just so much has changed. Julie, I mean, I know you got a little bit into it. I'm sure there's a lot more there. But like, Rory and I, like, we both left full-time jobs at that point in time and kind of went all in on this thing. It was just we saw the opportunity it presented in the workspace and how that could change workflows and provide cost and time efficiency. Also, let's talk about the fact that you no longer had to make these creative compromises that you might have had to in the past. Like certain things in your imagination that you just were never going to be able to find a photo of or create a photo of without it taking an insane amount of time, right? And do something unique. All those things really kind of unlock themselves. And I think we're going to think back to, this kind of time in our lives probably the next 10, 20 years. Like, I mean, this is, for me, it's just been such a inflection point of my career.
Vibe with that. 100%.
Was that did I get too deep? I don't know. I was just in my feels on it.
100% agree. Like, same.
Back to Midjourney Deep Hours. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. It's just so, I hadn't had that feeling that I had with Midjourney. I'm going to be, if we're going deep here, I hadn't had it until mood boards came back. I was like, damn, I'm back in. Here's 1,000 generations in one day. Like, there's days when you go that way. And there's days when I'm like, you try one thing, you're like, maybe not today. Maybe today's not my creative day. And then there's days where I'm like, I'll just sit there. I'll start at like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I have this idea. And then before I notice, 10, 11 o'clock, and I'm still just hitting. It's like addictive. They know that.
Oh, 100% addiction. It's not healthy sometimes. Like you said, like sometimes you really reach those 1,000, 2,000 generations a day, and you're like, oh God, I should touch some grass or something. But hey, here we are.
Question for you. This is a Midjourney specific question, almost like a rapid fire in that sense. What are your feelings on the style codes? Do you like them? Do you actually utilize them, or do you mine them just for social?
Great question.
I mean, like, I've always been curious for everyone who's been utilizing them.
I use them.
Okay.
I also don't use them. Like, sometimes they give me a new idea, inspiration for something, but I don't rely on them. Mm-hmm. I truly think it would be wrong to just rely on them, on just having like the style reference codes. But yeah, I mean, I totally sometimes just prompt like movie still, sref random, and go from there. Be like, hey, show me something, entertain me.
Yeah.
Put like a little R20 in there as well, and be like,
there we go.
Nice.
That parameter. That parameter blows people's minds for some reason, because a lot of people don't know it. The R.
I didn't know it until a few months ago. I was
Until
I always
style
was,
codes?
refreshing, yeah. Because it's ref random and then R20. Oh, jackpot.
It is great.
Yep.
It's a nice feeling, especially now with it being on the relax hours or like basically free. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. R40, let's roll it.
By the way, did you guys know that you can now use permutations in relax mode?
You could never do that before?
No.
What?
Permutations? No.
Since
with
when?
the brackets.
Yeah.
With the brackets. Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, true. No,
you
that
had to
was
be
always
you had to be in fast.
Yeah. I rarely use them though. Do you use them often?
All
the time.
Every single
Yeah.
prompt.
Really?
Mostly on parameters, aspect ratios, things like that. But it's an addiction too.
It is an addiction. It's a bad addiction. Yeah.
Yeah. I run it with a lot
I
of my
always just use like one aspect ratio though.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah, 7:3.
Okay.
Oh,
All right,
you
we're
like the cinematic? Yeah.
Yeah.
going double wide like that.
What do you
There's-
think about the difference between 7.3, 21.9?
Ooh.
Let's get really
It's the
let's get
same.
really
the
nerdy.
same thing.
I'm actually
I know, but
kind of
I
annoyed.
feel like they give different results. I mean, I'm just
No,
we're
but
getting
they
real nerdy
changed
here.
it. I mean, you can't use 21:9 anymore. They automatically
you can.
change it to
They
no.
default it back.
Oh, did they really?
Common
Yeah.
denominator.
I just ran one the other day. Okay, I didn't look at that.
They do it.
It
Common
changes.
denominator. There's
Interesting.
that was like, as a graphic designer, when they said there was no more aspect ratios that were structured, and I was like, wait, so I can just type in the pixel dimensions that I need, when it was like, oh, it's 79 by 48, and I was like, wait, this works. This is the coolest thing ever. I still think, can you do that on any other platform, like the whatever aspect ratio you want? I don't think so.
I don't
think so.
No.
I think it's if you used one, then you're stuck to it.
I wish you could use decimals in the aspect ratio, though, because to that point of like the 7.3, actually, it's really like a 2.3 something 1 is the aspect ratio. It's, I don't know. I'm not going to get too nerdy with it, but like, I would like to actually use that. You know what I mean? And I wonder how that would actually interpret. The whole decimal thing, too, kind of is crazy. Like, Rory, I think you were the first one to tell me way back in the day, I think, about the decimal point in the image weighting.
Oh, yeah.
But did you know you could do that with like stylize,
Yeah.
and then also
Yeah.
like chaos and stuff too? Like, wow.
Because that was part of the nerd discussion that I was trying to figure out, if I used every single parameter, how many combinations there were, like for every value.
wow.
Yeah, this was back before like SREF and stuff, and I was like, you could probably have like a couple billion possibilities. And then I looked it up. Can I do decimal points? And I was like, all right, it can do 26.1. Can it do 26.11111? And it did that. I was like, oh shit, it's infinite. There's no end.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get there. So, yeah, I thought that would be a good tweet back like an hour ago, a year ago, and that I just gave up because I was like,
You gave
that
up on the
sounds so
math.
stupid. Just trying to justify. I think at that time people were just like, Dall E 3 puts out better quality than Midjourney. I'm like, yeah, I was
Stop
like,
it right now.
I don't know about that.
What are you generating in Midjourney if you say that Dall E 3 is
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
it's not even in a mean way, but what are you generating? Because there's no way. There's
your
no
default.
way.
Just typing man in a park, enter. Damn it sucks.
Guys, what are your thoughts on this, both of you? Like, are they gonna make an update to Dall E now? Because I mean, you got Sora. You would think that there's something connected there, or at least you've got a head start, if nothing else, right? Of like, I mean, are they going to drop something with that? I would have thought if they would have done it, though, it probably would have come during that 12 Days of Christmas thing.
Yeah.
I
I
hope
could see
so.
it happening, but also not really. I also think that they thought they would have been so clever with Sora when they first announced it and were like, look at us, best out there. And then there came Halo and Kling and all
Out of
the other
nowhere.
tools as well.
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
Doing it just as good, and Sora kind of were like, okay, well, I guess it's nice. But also in Sora, I think I couldn't upload people, right?
You have to be on the $200 a month plan
Yeah,
for
not
that.
happening. That's,
I unfortunately did that
Oh,
just to go full full bore into testing. But have you played around with it a lot, or did you kind of just like start and be like, nah?
I mean, I tried a little bit when I was in LA in December, but now I'm back in Germany and I can't use it. So.
Oh, you guys still can't have. Oh, that's right,
No,
EU. That's
no.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's You're
What
not
else
missing
don't
much,
you?
to be
What
honest.
else don't you have access to right now?
VO2.
Uh-huh.
But also,
Okay.
I don't know if it's still on a wait list kind of thing or if it's
Yeah,
a
I mean we don't.
Europe
Yeah, we don't have
kind
it.
of thing.
Neither of us have it. Yeah, we're on. The
I think
wait
it's
list.
mainly Sora. Like there's a few
nothing else.
ChatGPT things that also don't work in the EU. But
What about like Claude? Like from a LLM standpoint, Claude, like Anthropic.
good question. I think Claude was not possible to use, but actually let me check if it is available now.
I always forget about how certain things you guys can't access over there.
Yeah, it
Is
looks
that-
like it should be usable.
Hey, Rory.
Gemini 2 wasn't available for a while.
Rory and Julie, I have a question for you both. Maybe you need a second to answer. That's okay. Give me a hot take, like a legit hot take with either AI image gen or AI video gen. It could be specific to a tool, or it could be just like a general idea, like something that people seem to think but absolutely isn't true. Like give me like just a hot take that comes to mind.
I'll go.
Go.
I don't know how anyone's going to compete with Google and Veo. Not because it's a good tool, but because of the data that they have. I just don't. I don't see how people can keep up with that. Like it's really hard. I mean, Runway to me has the best chance because of the partnerships that they've built and the way that they've been able to curate data sets and sort of do this in a very interesting way. I'm sure the Chinese models have a little bit different way of going about it in terms of acquiring data sets, but I just don't know how you can compete with the amount of content that Google has on YouTube. Like it just, that images, whatever, it can scrape the entire internet and we'll never know. And that's my hot take is I'm understandably confused as to how anyone can do it over the long run and compete with them. But, you know, you've seen players like Midjourney come out of nowhere and have the best tool without really having, you know, much of that. They don't have Google's back-end database of anything. So that's my hot one.
You got one. You're just not thinking of it. I know you got one.
I think I had like one hot take that Sora was actually trained on gaming stuff and not actual video stuff because it was felt very gamified.
That
And
you
so
know
I
what?
thought it had like a real engine kind of background instead of, I don't know, trained on videos. Like it didn't felt like actual video stuff. And I think that's still my hot take, but I don't know. I didn't find any evidence or just like other people weren't really thinking about it. So I was like, why am I? So maybe I was.
That reminds me of the video that comes to mind, and why I'm shaking my head when you say that is that one that's like somebody walking in the city at dark.
Tokyo
You know,
Woman.
yeah. It felt
Yeah.
like that felt very video game-esque.
Yeah,
You know?
but also the cars, how
Cars.
they drive. It feels very much like, I don't know.
It's the high angle
PlayStation
perspective
style.
that they tend to default to that looks like you're in a driving video game. Like that's what it does. But also another hot take on this, Sora worst product release of 2024
Oh God.
by far. I had a Julie early on.
You mean you don't like the 9-month waiting period?
I had like a rant for about 25 minutes on one of these earlier podcasts that we did when they released it, and then it was just like, here's the 10 creators that are going to get to post stuff, and then here's the platform that's just going to post stuff, and you're not going to see it for 8 months, but we'll just keep teasing you. I'm like, well, if you're going to tease this for 8 months, it better be awesome. And if it doesn't, and people waited that long, and then you're going to charge $200, and then it's really hard to use. Whoosh. Like I thought some of the Sora content I was posting early on would just go massive because everyone was so amped about it. But everyone got that $200 price tag in their head, and they're like, that's stupid. I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
And then the wait times to get on, the credit system sucks. It's a really hard platform to use if you don't know what you're doing. And I'm just like, there it is. You sort of took your medicine on that one because you screwed it up. Should have not done it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to interfere with the election. Yeah, if anyone can freaking prompt it to do anything, you can't use faces anyway. That was their excuse. It might interfere with the election. It's like, well, you can't use human faces, so how is that going to interfere with it? You know, There's my rant and hot take again. Sorry, OpenAI, you're probably listening, but Google, I like you more.
Yeah, maybe.
And ChatGPT, I still love you, my friend, my robot friend. Don't hate me.
Yeah. Dude, that guy loves you.
Yeah.
He does. We have great conversations. It's great at being a computer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Data
And that's all
analytics, things like that. It's
needs to
awesome.
be.
Have
I
you
used to
tried
use it a
using
lot.
it? Have you tried using it visually, like in your work? Like assess this image graphically. What can make it more compelling?
I mean, but then again, it uses DALL-E free, doesn't it? Or how do you?
No, like you could just like copy and paste an image in there and just say, hey, look, assess this image for me. I'm interested in like your thoughts on how I can make this better from a storytelling perspective or compositionally or
I haven't.
Visual
Cole's
heat
in it.
mapping.
Yeah, visual heat mapping. Like
Okay, no, I haven't.
It's fun.
Actually.
that could be
I
really good.
sometimes use it as a, hey, here's my 4 images I want to post on Twitter. Give me a good title for it. And then it
There you
sucks.
go.
And I'm like, oh, fuck it.
Give me a name for the
Find
style
one
reference
myself.
code.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad in that sense. It's, you know, there's things that I find it to be good. Like also for graphic design, I used to use it a lot, like for dimensions and reformatting and resizing and things like that
yeah.
to sort of fit things in. Like I want to do, 3 images by 5 images in a grid on this, type of platform with this much of bleed. Like tell me exactly what this format needs to be. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank you, God.
Yeah,
so
that makes
much, 'cause
sense.
That used to be the bane of my existence, was compiling all that stuff and figuring that out. God, I was so bad at math for pixels. What is this at 300 DPI versus 72 DPI? Like, you might as well just put me out back.
Yeah.
That was the worst. But
Yeah, totally.
now I just have profound conversations with it. I just ask it, it's my co-parent, honestly. Julie, I don't know if you've done this before.
Oh, God,
when
yeah.
I was very nervous those first couple weeks of, having the baby, I was like screenshotting baby monitor pictures and being like, please tell me what's going on. Is my baby going to survive the night? Kind of thing.
Yeah. No, totally. And also
Yeah.
just like to have like one answer instead of Googling it and having a million to
Yeah.
browse through. And obviously you find a million things and like, go to the doctor with your baby. And I'm like, no, just tell me, am I going to be fine? Is he going to be fine? And then ChatGPT is always like,
I love that.
course.
But make sure you still go to that doctor though. Yeah, it'll say
Always.
that. Yeah.
Co-parenting
No,
with
yeah.
with AI. Who would have thought? That's really. I have a whole chat specifically directed at that. I was like, oh, she's got 102.9 fever in Fahrenheit, which is pretty high. And I was like, do we have to be concerned? It's like, no, typically over 104 or something. I'm like,
yeah.
it's close. I mean, you normally tell me to go to the doctor at that point, so maybe it's not
Yeah.
that bad. But yeah, it has become more of like a personal assistant than it has like
Oh,
a
100%.
business tool at this point. Because
I
everyone,
mean, I guess at some point it's just going to be your AI agent.
everyone started using it,
stuff. Yeah.
and then everything became like game changer or
Unlock.
unlock or supercharge. And it was like,
Supercharge.
oh my God,
Streamline.
same
Streamline
words.
just got beaten to death. Streamline was already bad, but then it just like compounded the whole thing.
delve, all that
Delve.
stuff, all these words you haven't heard in a long time, but delve. It's like, let's delve into this. Like, who says that? Like,
Yeah.
the British in the 1990 or the 1900s. Like, what? I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah,
So obviously we've gone through a lot today. Julie, why don't you kind of wrap this up for us? Tell us where people can find you. Obviously we went through your Twitter, your X, which I think you do an amazing job of sort of visualizing that process. I also pulled up your website as well, which I think you've got some interesting things there with, looks like you're doing like an NFT collection. You've got your other social channels on there. Anything else people should know?
I don't think so. I think on Twitter, X, that's where I share most of my AI findings and all of that. Sometimes there's YouTube. I would love to get back into doing more tutorial stuff. I hope this year will be the year again. And yeah, trying to revamp my portfolio, my website to be a bit more up to date. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think on X is where you can find me, and yeah, that's
All right.
Well, thank you for coming and hanging out with us, being
Thanks for having
going
me.
all over the place with
That
this
was
stuff.
fun. Love it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to bring everyone back around at some point. We know V7 is gonna come out. It's gonna totally flip. We're all gonna go back down the rabbit hole, even if we say we're not. We are. And then
You know what we should do for that, Rory? We should do like a V7 episode where we invite a bunch of people on and
We're addicts,
Chat-
right? Like
chat
give us
through it
something
together.
to
Yeah,
grab.
yeah.
We're in
Like,
there.
it'll be like a Midjourney AA meeting. It will just like go in. I'm
Therapy.
Drew. This is my problem. I'm excited about this with V7, and you're my sponsor. If I get too lost in the sauce, bring me back.
Perfect.
Very
I'm
good.
down for that.
Love
Let's
it.
do it. We'll call it a watch party, a whatever party, a complaint party, whatever the hell
Well,
it's going to be. at that point.
ChatGPT will come up with a name.
Yeah, probably a better one. than that.
Or not.
Or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Supercharged party. Like something stupid like that. But as always, everyone, if you're here still, like and subscribe, please, as I'm obliged to say. We're going to come
Absolutely.
back next week. We got maybe we'll have V7, maybe we won't. But if not, we'll be here.
Update there. V7 has been delayed.
Shocking.
They had a problem with their training data set. Yeah, so they had to start over. So now definitely not January, definitely February. That was confirmed. I think it'd probably be mid to late February if I had to take a guess. Yeah.
Oh my God. What else is new? Who
Nothing.
cares? We'll still
That's
be
it.
there. We'll still be here. But
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
awesome. Thanks, Julie. See ya.
Bye-bye.